Castor oil may be one of the most misunderstood remedies in home medicine. Not because people have never heard of it, but because most people only know the surface-level claims. You can think of castor oil like fire meeting different materials. The fire itself does not change, but what it does depends entirely on what it touches. One thing warms, another melts, another softens. Same oil, different tissue, different results. And that is exactly what makes castor oil so interesting. Because when you apply it before bed, it does not do just one thing. Its effects change depending on where it goes. The scalp, the skin, the joints, even the deeper tissues underneath. So in this video, we're going to uncover what really happens when you apply castor oil before sleep, from the surface of the skin to the deeper physiology below it. But first, why just before bed? It is simple. At night, your body follows circadian repair rhythms, and your skin shifts into a recovery-focused mode, ramping up barrier repair, cell renewal, and DNA repair. When you apply something before sleep, it stays on the skin through a long, undisturbed window, perfectly synced with these overnight restorative processes. Now that the basics make sense, let's move to the first benefit. Number 1, the root repair. If your scalp could talk, it would probably complain long before your hair ever does. Because most hair problems do not begin in the strands you see. They start underneath, in the root zone. When the roots become too dry, the scalp turns flaky, irritated, and more prone to dandruff. Once that balance is disrupted, the hair above it starts paying the price too. And this is exactly where castor oil comes in. Massaged lightly into the scalp before bed, it settles where dryness and flaking usually begin. Since castor oil is thicker than most oils, it forms a slow, protective layer over the roots. This helps reduce transepidermal water loss, or TEWL, overnight, which can leave the scalp softer and more hydrated by morning. But that is not all. Castor oil also fights microbes naturally, helping limit bacteria and fungi that trigger dandruff and irritation. By reducing microbial buildup, including organisms like Malassezia, it helps calm the scalp and keep the condition from getting worse. And this is where timing matters. During the day, movement, sweat, sun, and constant disruption work against it. But at night, it gets uninterrupted hours to stay in place. Number 2, barrier Botox. A lot of skin problems start the same way. The barrier weakens, water escapes, and suddenly everything looks worse than it really is. Fine lines look sharper, rough patches feel rougher. The skin loses that soft, plump, calm look and starts appearing dull, tired, and worn out. Here again, castor oil helps much like it does with the scalp. Applied in a thin layer over dry patches or carefully around the lids and under the eyes, it works like a slow sealing layer overnight. Its viscosity helps form a protective coating over the skin's surface, making it easier for the skin to retain the moisture it would usually lose overnight. So instead of waking up to skin that looks more drained, you wake up to skin that feels softer and smoother. And there is more. Castor oil is rich in tocopherols, compounds from the vitamin E family, which give it antioxidant power too. So while it helps the skin hold on to moisture, it also helps defend the surface from free radical stress. On top of that, its antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties may help calm acne and redness already present on the skin. That is why castor oil can make the skin look so good by morning. Not because it rebuilt the whole face overnight, but because it gave the barrier exactly what it needed: protection, support, and hours of uninterrupted repair. Number 3, the nerve quieting effect. What you see on the surface is not always where the real problem lives. When an area stays sore, tender, or unusually sensitive, it often means the tissues or nerve endings underneath are still inflamed. And at that point, it is easy to wonder how an oil could really help. But castor oil is not just any oil. It comes from the Ricinus communis plant, which has been valued for centuries for its anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving nature. That is a big reason this oil has built such a loyal reputation over time. Rubbed gently over a sore area before sleep, it gets hours to remain in contact with the skin instead of being wiped away or disturbed too early. Once applied, castor oil clings to the skin. During that long overnight window, its active compounds have time to move into the deeper layers of the skin, where they can begin supporting the inflamed tissues underneath. So this is not just surface-level comfort. It is a slower, deeper kind of soothing, the kind that can leave an area feeling less inflamed, less reactive, and less painfully alert by morning. Number 4. The natural laxative. Now here is one of castor oil's oldest, most famous, and even FDA-approved uses: helping get the bowels moving. Your gut is not just a hollow bag. It is a long, muscular tube, and those muscles have to keep things moving. Food has to move. Gas has to move. Waste has to move. When that movement slows down, everything starts sitting there longer than it should. Gas builds up. Waste lingers. The stomach feels tight, swollen, and heavy. When castor oil is taken orally before bed, it releases ricinoleic acid in the gut, the fatty acid that makes up nearly 90% of the oil. This compound activates EP3 receptors in the smooth muscles of the intestines, helping trigger slow, natural squeezing movements called peristalsis overnight. That is why castor oil is known as a stimulant laxative. So the reason castor oil gets called a bloat killer is not because it melts fat or performs some miracle detox. It is because bloating often happens when the gut feels slow and stuck, and castor oil is traditionally linked to helping that stuck feeling move along. Number 5. Lower stress, better sleep. Most of the time, the reason you cannot sleep is not the sleep itself. It is because you are anxious, emotionally heavy, or simply in pain. Because when the body feels unsettled, the mind usually follows. That is where castor oil starts to feel quietly powerful. We already know it is valued for its anti-inflammatory nature, but what makes it more interesting is that some studies have also linked it to anxiolytic or anxiety-calming effects. So when it is applied to the belly button or the right side of the abdomen before bed, it is traditionally believed to have a calming, therapeutic effect on the body. It does not sedate you, but it may help you feel more settled, more relaxed, and a little more ready for rest. Number 6. Band-Aid effect. Think about what healing skin really needs. It needs to stay sterile, it needs to keep healing, and it needs to stay protected. And that is exactly why castor oil works so well for stressed skin. Applied directly over small, dry, or stressed patches, it can act almost like a soft protective covering. Its antimicrobial properties help keep the area cleaner and less exposed to germs. Its fatty acids help calm inflammation and take some of the irritation out of stressed skin. And its thickness works like a soft shield, helping keep the skin from infection, drying out too fast, or cracking further. Number 7. Creak-free mornings. Imagine waking up with your joints feeling a little less stiff and sore, without reaching for a prescription pill. Massaged into stiff joints before bed, castor oil is traditionally used as a soothing overnight treatment. Its main component, ricinoleic acid, makes up nearly 90% of the oil and inhibits pro-inflammatory enzymes like COX-2, helping reduce the swelling and discomfort that often accompany arthritic joints. Clinical research supports this. In a randomized trial, 100 patients with knee osteoarthritis took either castor oil capsules or diclofenac sodium every day. After 4 weeks, both groups reported significant pain relief, but only the diclofenac group experienced side effects, including gastrointestinal issues. Castor oil, by contrast, worked quietly and safely. This shows that castor oil is not just a traditional remedy. It is also a scientifically supported, safe, and practical option for easing joint discomfort naturally. So there you have it, 7 ways castor oil may support your body overnight. It is not a miracle oil, but it is not just hype either. Just one last thing. Not all castor oil is equal. Cold-pressed, hexane-free castor oil, ideally stored in a dark glass bottle, is usually preferred because better processing and storage help keep the oil more stable and less contaminated.